first episode of Stick It. My name is Ben Davis. Alongside me, Australia's only Olympic medalist in gymnastics, a silver in Sydney, men's trampoline, Ji the trampoline guy. Wallace, good morning to you, mate.
Benny, good to see you, mate. We've known each other for a long time, but how exciting is this? Australia's first and only dedicated podcast to the world's most watched Olympic sport, gymnastics.
That's the thing. It is the most watched sport at the Olympics. 54 medals up for grabs every time the Games rolls around.
Can you believe it? And we're political already because we do not get the funding that we need to chase any of those medals, let alone all 54. And not only 54 medals in gymnastics, but if you actually extrapolate that out to all the sports that have had some sort of involvement in gymnastics, we're talking hundreds of medals each Olympic Games that gymnastics provides the foundation for.
Exactly, the foundation of movement. And it's not just gymnastics, the amount of sports that can grow from that base. Yes, we are going to get political, but yes, we are going to delve into what makes gymnastics tick, especially in this state. As your backstage pass to all things gymnastics here in Queensland, around the world as well. There's going to be the big moments. There's going to be bold stories, plenty of chalk dust along the way. And to kick things off today, one of rugby league's elite, who is Ji, a Gymnastics Queensland ambassador.
That's right. We were very lucky enough to come across Corey Parker, who actually has his kids in gymnastics. So he actually has a real fundamental interest in gymnastics, and we're so lucky to have him.
Yeah, and he is the host of SEN's Breakfast in the Morning, so it's pretty easy to get. Well, we have to get him working overtime, right? He'll be putting it in a separate invoice, Corey. I'll tell you what.
We had to dangle a few things in to keep him in the studio.
You know, when I picture rugby league and I think of the modern day athlete, like, they are just flying through the air, the evasiveness, especially outside backs. But then you can get the big units too. And we all remember that 99 grand final, Glenn Lazarus doing cartwheels. I mean, maybe that's at the other extreme. Maybe he could have used a bit of maybe he had some gymnastics background.
I'm sure he had some gymnastic background because there was form, there was elegance, and the way he stuck that landing, it was fantastic.
Well, I'm just looking for the check that Lazo sent you there. Exactly. Hey, look, not only Corey's involvement as well, but we are going to talk about how you got into the sport. A boy from Logan growing up, gymnastics, trampolining. How is that on the cards? We're going to get into that, but also where it's going to lead you, where gymnastics can lead you, not only in the world of high performance sport, but for careers moving forward, which then actually takes us into this.
From the vault with Jumping John.
Yeah, that's right. A little later this morning, we are going to get and crack open that vault. The stories, Ji. You and I have known each other a long time, but we're going to tap into.
We have, and I have some crackers that we can actually tap into.
So many stories to be told from our men on the trampoline when we open the vault with Ji. Look, if you are like me, maybe your education to gymnastics started with Roy and HG.
Hello, boys.
Hello, boys. Well, that's it. Hello, boys. Battered Savs. We also are going to explore and educate along the way of the lingo used in gymnastics as well. For those who have just arrived here for the first time, we're going to delve into that.
100%. And the fact that Roy and HG got hello boys and the battered sav into the Australian vernacular, and that's the way we want to actually present gymnastics, because it isn't just about that high performance, what you see every 4 years, that 6 hours a day, 10 hours a day, leotard wear. It's not just about that. It's about the fun that gymnastics provides as well. And let me tell you, we've got some fun to talk about.
Oh, don't we what? It opens up the door. Misconceptions, I don't know if that's the word. Maybe it's some myth busting. I mean, when you look at gymnastics in this state, it is bigger on a membership basis. It's bigger than basketball. 58,000 members.
58,000 members and 123 clubs. And we're growing. We grew fantastically through COVID, and that exponential growth is continuing. We're looking at 100,000 members by 2032. So not many other sports can actually talk about those sort of numbers the way we can. And again, let's get political. We need the funding to back us up because it's just not there at the moment. The government can't do everything, but they can do a lot better.
Yeah, we are going to delve into that along the series of Stick It over the coming weeks, and we will be putting in requests to Tim Mander, the Olympics minister, 100%. One of his portfolios. Maybe it's Jared Blay, the Deputy Premier, the man who's actually entrusted with building infrastructure, because we'll step through the plan that Gymnastics Queensland had on the cards.
Yeah.
Had stepped through what was going to be built just days away, and then all of a sudden reviews come down and governments change and things have been put on hold.
Well, let's talk about why we seem to have been forgotten. Ultimately, there's no other reason that we can think of that why they wouldn't announce where gymnastics will be at the Olympic Games, a showstopper, the world's most number one watched Olympic sport around the world. And we can't forget about it. It can't be out nowhere. We have to make it a prime position.
I mean, you look at Queenslanders on the world stage, and we always say that if Queensland broke away and were their own entity when it comes, we don't want to say country, but their own entity when it comes to Olympia, like we'd be in the top 10 of the medal tally.
Yeah, 100%.
And gymnastics, no different at all. So 16 of the 15 that represented us in Paris were Queenslanders.
Crazy, isn't it? It's just crazy. Gymnastics
crazy
is
good.
Crazy. We are crazy good. We've got myself, and we had Blake Rutherford, who was heading towards an Olympic berth as well, all coming at Leslie Daly, Robin Forbes, all the gymnasts that coming out of Queensland.
Yeah.
This is the place to be.
We'll step through that and Ruby Parson, how she went in Paris as well, a little later in the program. But it is more than just high performance, isn't it? It is, I mean, gymnastics is the foundation of movement.
That's right. It is the foundational sport. And as we were just saying before, so many different sports and so many different careers can take off because of a foundation and a basic understanding of what gymnastics is about. It's not all about the high performance. It's about having fun, getting in there, enjoying yourself, and really learning how to move.
I'm going through, it's almost like a Rolodex, and kids just ask your parents what a Rolodex is when you're just flipping through, and I'm just going, I don't know if there's any sport that gymnastics would not be a foundation for. I mean, diving, aerial skiing.
Yes.
So I'm thinking out at Chandler Slimming where we have the big ramps. BMX?
Yeah, BMX, surfing, skateboard,
yes,
rock climbing.
Yeah.
It's high diving, Red Bull high diver. Rhiannon, she's a former high-performing gymnast.
She is,
five-time reigning world champion, former gymnast. You don't realise what gymnastics or where gymnastics can take you. There's acrobatics in Cirque du Soleil. There's the entertainment space. Hollywood comes calling for stunt performers that know how to fall and roll, and they know where their body is in the air.
No.
How fantastic. We've got some of those guests coming up too, by the way.
Ryan Gosling's coming on the show? The Fall Guy? Really?
Yes, he
This
is.
Outstanding stuff.
Absolutely. I reached out to my people. His people got back to me.
So many stories to tell. Ji Wallace and Ben Davis with you this morning on Stick It. It is the brand new radio show podcast, flipping the script on gymnastics here in Queensland. Big moments, bold stories, plenty of chalk dust along the way. A big 12 months too for gymnastics in this state. Each year there's 8 different state championships that Gymnastics Queensland host. So the injection into the economy as well. And hello, those in 1 William Street and the seats of power, the injection into the economy that gymnastics bring. We're talking nearly 4,500 athletes over all the different championships.
Yes.
Parents come along as well,
yes.
so and family, so spectators. So the multiplication of that, more than 10,000 spectators. They've all got to stay. They've all got to
100%.
They've all got to spend money somewhere
Yes.
at the local clubs and restaurants or wherever it may be. So it is a big economic boost, but it has been a big 12 months for the sport in this state.
It has been a big 12 months. I mean, we've come off the back of Paris.
Oh, yeah.
And Ruby Parson, her 13th place. With the girls, the rhythmic girls, they're 11th place, and that's the best that Australia has ever performed in the rhythmic space. And of course, we had Brock Batty out of Victoria, who was in the trampoline space. He came 13th too. So we're doing really well. We punch well above our weight because remember, we are up against the behemoths of the US, the UK, all the Eastern blockers. They are all indoor sporting countries. We're an outdoor sporting country, so the fact that we do so well at an indoor sport is pretty fantastic.
Oh, geez, you just nailed that. So that actually makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, an indoor sport for a country known for its great climate, its great weather, punching above our weight. Now, what's coming up? We've got, we're in the month of May, so there's state championships happening already.
That's right. So what has happened is every 4 years, Gymnastics Australia has a look at the schedule and they kind of change it a little bit. So we haven't really had any competitions for a good 6-7 months. So May is our first month of state championships, whether it be rhythmic, trampoline, aero, acro, mag, so men's artistic gymnastics, and the women's artistic. So that's coming up towards the end of the month.
Mag, see, I'm taking notes. I'm going to ask you this a little later on. Some of the acronyms that I'm catching up on as well, like the DMT and the mags and the wags and the
TUM and the ARC and all of those. Yeah, we'll do a bit of a test for you, mate.
Yeah, okay.
So we've got all of those state championships, and then that leads us into the national championships, which is in July, and then there's World Games coming up. Okay. We have the University Games. I think that's on about right about now, and then we've got World Championships at the end of the year. Now, this World Championships, because we came off the back of Paris last year, these World Championships are just a World Championships. But coming up over the next couple of years, the qualifications start for LA. So that all becomes very, very serious, and that's time-consuming, and it takes up so much space and so much time for the staff at GQ. They don't just sit there and wait for these events to roll around. They're actually in there making them happen day to day. It's a lot of work to make all of those state championships happen. Plus, Queensland hosts the National Club Championships, and that happens every year, every September, and also the last year on the Gold Coast for the National Championships too. So it's a huge schedule that we look after.
Huge schedule, huge sport, 58,000 members in Queensland alone. In fact, if you're one of them, even if you're not, we do encourage your participation as part of Stick It, part of the show. How do you do that? Easy. Jump on Instagram, GymQLD. So that's Gymnastics Queensland Instagram page. If you've got questions for Ji, you may have questions for me, but I reckon aim them at Ji. Anything you want us to raise on Stick It over the journey, over the next few months, let us know. GymQLD on Instagram, and we will get to those each and every week. We have a special guest in studio to kick off the first show, someone who, well, he's attuned to kickoffs in his career. He's done plenty of them. He's done plenty of goal kicking. He's captained the Broncos. He's played for Queensland. He's played for Australia. 300-plus games. I speak of none other than SEN-owned Corey Parker.
Well, Benny, mate, we have the Australian football legend himself, Corey Parker, and he is the new Gymnastics Queensland ambassador.
Yeah, how are we, gentlemen? All going well?
Cozza, amazing to see you here this early in the morning too, which is absolutely outstanding. But the big thing is, as Ji just said, ambassador for Gymnastics Queensland. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, being a father of four, Benny, and myself and both my wife, who we've been heavily involved in the gymnastics, because people get under, there's a misconception about gymnastics. They think it's just you do on the mat and you swing on a bar. It's so much more than that. And being a father of four, we have taken our kids to it starts at such a young age, from a crawling age to a jump, and they just jump around on a mat. There's some great core stability that's involved in that. So it was a no-brainer for us to come on board, trying to, I guess, spread the word of what is gymnastics here in Queensland. So many good things happening in the space of gymnastics, but so many people just so narrow-minded in regards to what it is. So that was, sort of where and how we all come about of coming on board as an ambassador for Gymnastics Queensland.
Well, I mean, I guess everybody sees it at the Olympic Games or World Championships, and they see how hard it actually is, and they don't realise that you've got to start somewhere. It's a foundational sport, a little bit like swimming, right? You get your kids in it, they can survive the water. You get into gymnastics and they can survive for life, because as you said, they start at kinder gym and you can go all the way through to 80 plus years old. They get out to the old people's homes and get in there and get them doing gymnastics. So it's really fundamental for life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we talk about swimming, right, which is a great example, because as a young kid, the first thing you want your kids to do is be able to swim. Well, same with balance, same with walking, same with the ability to hold yourself up, whether it be with your arms, whether it be with your legs, and whether it be just be able to walk in straight lines. From such a young age, the core strength that is able to happen off the back of just doing some simple things is incredible. And if you liken it to rugby league, boys, you see the athleticism in rugby league in particular. Every outside back actually trains at least minimum of 2 times a week on a gymnastics mat. The try-scoring that we see in the corners, the high takes that we see, that is a trained habit. And it's been something that's been obviously more and more trained over recent years. But even back when I was first started at the Broncos, we used to do gymnastics training. Great for...
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah. It was great for core strength. It was a different muscle that you used. But more so in today's game, you see these great athletes being able to come up with some, acrobatics that we would never have seen.
That's right. And you wouldn't believe how many sports actually benefit from a basic understanding of gymnastics fundamentals. It actually goes far and wide.
Well, Corey, I covered you your entire career, and this is the first time that I've heard that gymnastics was part of a Broncos routine. That would have been under Wayne Bennett, Dean Benson, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We used to do it at Brisbane Boys Grammar.
Yeah.
At the Normanby Five Ways there. They got a pretty fair facility. The best part of when we finished was the bouncing on the trampolines into the big
foam pit.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a trampoline story.
And then the
I'll tell you,
hardest part was
everyone.
trying to get out of the foam pit. So you're sort of reluctant to get in because then it was so difficult to get out after being, so heavily fatigued from doing a
But that's part of the cross training that
That's
you
right,
actually do.
that's
Is just
right.
getting in and off the equipment. That's hard as well.
How did you go?
In the trampolining, not so good. The old bumblebees aren't real good. The knees didn't handle it any good. But I tell you this, again, having 4 kids, my eldest being 15, the youngest being 9, we did a gymnastics course maybe 5-6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Together as a family, got put through the course at
All
the
of you?
local PCYC. At Logan, and I'll put it this way: I was sweating a lot more than I should have been, which probably suggests to me that I was working way too hard. I was a little unfit, but it just shows to the kids, again, the perception of what gymnastics is all about, I think needs to change, and it needs to change. I mean, at the moment, there's 76%, I suppose, of all gymnast membership are women, and that can change. We need to change that, so it's not just a female dominant sport; it's more equal share. So, it was nice to be able to do it.
You are listening to the dulcet tones of Corey Parker. We know him for his 347 games for the Broncos,
And
almost
now
20
his
appearances for
prolific
Queensland.
gymnastic and trampoline career.
Exactly. And that is the new role for Corey as an ambassador for Gymnastics Queensland. Check gymqld.org.au. All right, Cozza, the growth, you touched on that, but I guess the advice for any athletes, parents who want to get their kids into any sport, start at gymnastics. That's what I'm hearing.
I firmly believe that. I've walked it. I've done it. I've lived those scenarios. So often you see, and again, my eldest boy's 14, eldest daughter's 15, and youngest 9, one 11. They come through and people start thinking weights. They start thinking, how can we get bigger and stronger and faster and all those sorts of things. Start with gymnastics. I'm telling you, when you've got the basic fundamentals of strength, that being body weight, and how to understand all the different scenarios that go along with that, whether it be a tumble roll, whether it be just your own body weight on a bars. There's so much fun to be had. It doesn't have to be one specific thing. There can be all sorts of different things that fall under the Gymnastics Queensland umbrella. So
Well, that's why most of the kids that do come to gymnastics really love it, because we make it fun.
Yeah.
It's it's lots of learning, hand-eye coordination, strength, all of those sort of things that is fun for the kids, and that's why they want to keep coming back.
Cozzy, you mentioned weights. As a gymnast, was weights a part of your program, or is it all the natural stuff?
For me, there was no weights at all.
Yeah.
I'm actually 25 kilos heavier today than what I was at the Olympic Games, so mine was, don't do any of that because you're going to be way too big for the trampoline.
Because I was going to ask, have you ever bench press? What's
Now,
your,
now I do. I hurt myself all the time.
Yeah.
But back then, no, it was nothing. It was all body weight stuff, and it was all on the floor right next to the trampoline. So my days were filled with things on the trampoline, and all of our cross training was off the trampoline right next to it.
Question to you both then. What's harder to lift or harder to do from a weight bearing point of view? Your own body and doing the gymnastic side of thing, or actually pushing 10?
Well, have you ever tried to lift yourself up off the ground, or have you ever tried to do?
But I'm not the elite like you two.
Well, that's why I said before, particularly being such a young age, if you're able to instill these basic fundamentals towards your body and understanding and those fine muscles that certainly help.
Just those motor skills.
Those
that
motor
you're after,
skills, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be through whatever specific apparatus you may want to be on. It could be a collective. And you talk about Ninja Warrior. That falls under Gymnastics Queensland. So that's all of a sudden come cool for a lot of people by watching it on TV. It doesn't have to be on a pummel horse or on a trampoline, whatever it may be. We've all jumped on trampolines before, haven't we? After 3 minutes, I was absolutely gassed. But you do it properly for a long period of time, and all of a sudden it's fun involved, and you're using muscles and being active and healthy and all the things you need to do without even think about it.
Well, only 5% of gymnasts or gymnastics is in the high performance space.
Yes.
95% of it is all at that social level. It's not your 6 hours a day. It's not your Russian coaching. It's not what everybody understands it to be. It's all about coming in a couple of times a week, building your motor sensory skills and having a good time.
I think we've got Corey nice and relaxed now, so we will finish on this one, mate. Well, the guard is down. You said you were sweating more than you should have been. Was there one apparatus, one discipline that you just went, nah, or couldn't do or embarrassed yourself with? This is where I'm going.
Well,
Or D, all of the above.
to answer the question,
and is there video?
There was... could I do? Yes, I could do them all. Did I embarrass myself? Absolutely, I did.
Yeah.
The pummel horse was okay. I can get up and to do the flare thing. The where you get your legs up with the flares. No chance. But some of the easier ones that I found anyway, with the parallel bars and the like. But I generally kept it to the floor routine.
Maybe it was your coach on the day, because I just taught Sam Thigh Day
Boy.
transfer. Yes, a transfer just about a couple of weeks ago. Everybody loved it. The crowd went wild. It was a very, very simple skill.
I can see Corey Parker doing Glenn Lazarus like
I've got him covered.
and the
Don't worry about
cartwheels
that.
after
Yes, the handstand
after a
in a
drop.
leotard, presented to the judges.
Hey, I just saw your leotard that you bought in for show and tell.
Yes.
I can't believe after, what are we now, 25
It
years?
is 25 years.
The Lycra still has a bit of give.
Well, the Lycra does, but I'm not sure about the elastic that actually holds everything in place.
I'll let you two have a show and tell and try session after this ad break. Corey Parker, thank you for coming in. Stick it. He is a Queensland Gymnastics ambassador, which is outstanding stuff. He stepped us through exactly the transformation you can take from gymnastics into elite sport. One thing I didn't do earlier, Joe, I didn't stick it. I reckon what do you do when you don't stick it? When you smash the landing?
If you smash the landing, you're actually doing really well.
Oh, okay. If you bumble off. If you fall off. Yeah. If you
fumble.
Yeah, fumble.
If you get the twisties.
If you face plant the landing. I think it has been picked up. Thank you to our eagle-eyed and eagle-eared listeners. I said 16 out of 15
of the Olympians were all Queenslanders.
Yeah, 6 of the 15.
I do enjoy your enthusiasm, but yes,
we had more Queenslanders there than we had participating in the game. Outstanding stuff. So but it's still a hell of a record.
We can actually say that the most trampolinists that have gone to the Olympic Games have come out of Queensland. So how about that? We stick to that one.
Well, you know what? And when we open the vault very soon, I want to get into that. I want to find out how the boy from Logan got into trampoline. With so many other sports up for, on offer for kids in this part of the world, how and where trampoline. We've all jumped on trampolines, right? But how did you get to that elite level? Well, let's save that.
Absolutely.
Because part of that story, after winning Australia's only Olympic medal in gymnastics, which is
about 80 years of trying.
Exactly. You met up with these two gentlemen.
Corkscrew, double corkscrew, and then a bat of the sab. Bat of the sab. Put enough of those there. And Crazy Date. It's the first Crazy Date we've seen with total elevation. 360-degree Crazy Date, actually. Look at that. And it's going every which way, the Crazy Date. Almost turning into a party date. Yes, the crowd's loving it. Close the door. And he's spinning off the flute here. He's got the flute out. And the flat bag. A flat bag with the arms extended. They're a lovely flat bag. Here he goes. Hello, boys. Hello, boys. It's me. A simple sidestep to reposition himself for the next pass. Beautifully thought through that little bit. It certainly was. Here he goes now with a big jump. Back he comes that way. Bangs the batted sab. Batted sab. There's tremendous strength in that batted sab. He really enjoys that word. He's holding it beautifully there. Must be swelling already.
I actually forgot about the Crazy Date part. I forgot about all the others, but I thought that sounds like my personal life. But
Roy and HG and the games. it put gymnastics in the forefront of everyone's mind. Even when Kathy was running and Nat Cook was winning on the sands of Bondi with Kerry Pothurst. I mean, it was there. Yes, medals obviously for you. And we'll get into those stories and what it was like being on that show and Fatso.
It's almost like Nadia Comaneci.
Yeah,
Simone Biles what? We're just talking about the men's and the battered Savs and the Allo boys.
Exactly. But that leads us into an education process. I mean, those moves obviously have names.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Yes, of course.
And when it comes also to the acronyms used in, because I had to ask you, I said, hang on, so you performed in the DMT. What's a DMT?
Yeah, I've done DMT before. Double mini trampoline. So obviously you don't want to be talking about all these long names. So it's just all shortened to abbreviations. DMT, TUM, TRP, ACR,
Yeah, so
MAG,
TRP.
WAG, all of those.
TRP is...
Trampoline.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
It doesn't take rocket science to figure it out, but...
Mags and wags,
yes.
or mag and wag.
Yeah, so we were WAG before wags were cool.
Yeah.
So before the cricketers had wags and the footballers had wags, we were wags first. We've been wags for many, many years. So
stands for?
Women's Artistic Gymnastics.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what everybody knows gymnastics to be, is right? The girls on the floor or on the beam, or so that's women's artistic gymnastics. Then there's the mags, which is probably what half of the Matildas might have. Is some mags.
Nathan Cleary joins us now. Yeah.
So men's artistic gymnastics, TRP, trampoline, acro, so ACR. You've got rhythmic, RYT. I believe it's RYT. So all of them have acronyms, and it's just too long to say, so we've just made it up.
7 gym sports?
There is 7 gym sports.
Yep.
So you've got 4 Olympic gym sports, which you see at the Olympics. So MAG, WAG, trampoline, and rhythmic. So rhythmic is the ball and the ribbon and the hoop and the clubs.
The
clubs. Clubs.
That's what they're called.
Yes, clubs. So it is very funny to watch junior athletes learning how to throw the ball and the hoop, because they don't do anything. They don't have anything, but they just pretend that the ball's there, or they pretend that the clubs are there. So to go to the junior events and watch them doing moves without any of the apparatus, because obviously it's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
You don't want the junior kids to have the ball or the clubs land on them.
Right.
So they've actually got to learn how to do that. So
it's like doing air guitar.
In the beginning, it's all air guitar stuff. It's very cool to watch.
Is there a particular age when that gets in, or is it a proficiency where you start?
It's a proficiency level.
Start using the apparatus.
100%. But those girls, man, they train. They train for long, long, arduous hours. Because have you ever tried to bounce a ball off your bum and catch it again?
Actually, no. Of all things I have tried.
Even just throwing the ball in there, just throwing a hoop in the air and trying to catch a hoop in the right and keep it moving. I mean, it's crazy what they can do. It's spectacular. And some of the best photos from the Olympic Games are from some of the rhythmic girls where they've got their head disappear and the ball has landed on their chest. Some of those are special, fantastic pictures, and that's all rhythmic. That's all gymnastics.
All right. I know there's 5% of gymnastics is at that high performance level. Let's just lean into that for a second. I mean, how many hours are they training a day, and what does a normal training routine look like?
6 hours a day, 6 days a week for those girls. I was doing 6 hours a day, 5 days a week with trampoline. But I'm a boy from Brisbane. I'm a boy from Logan who was jumping on a trampoline in my backyard. Half of the time there was no springs in the corners. There was certainly no padding back then. And I would run down the back veranda, up over the railing, onto the trampoline, go for the sand pit, or get my mate to throw the rope swing in the tree. I'd try and catch it, swing on the rope swing back to the trampoline. Half the time I'd miss. So my mum would go, "What are you doing?" I'd go, "Nothing, I'm jumping off the roof." So I got involved because my mum thought, "You're a nutbag, dude." So she took me up to the Logan PCYC, and it's not the Logan PCYC that's there now. Yeah. It's the old one opposite the council chambers where the roof would leak. There was no, tucker on the floor. It was just old and decrepit, but we had a good time. Trampoline is kind of the wild cousin of the gymnastics world.
And we are speaking to the wild cousin of that wild cousin world, Ji Wallace, co-host of Stick It here on SEN. It is an Australian radio first gymnastics. Your backstage pass to everything that's happening here in Queensland as far as gymnastics. When do you know, Ji, that's from taking it from fun into I'm good at this, and I could probably have a go at the elite level.
I think there are moments where you can take it from backyard into that fun world, but it all depends on, again, like we were talking about, that proficiency level and what sort of coaching and what sort of program you have and where you want to go for it. Because doing trampoline in the backyard in Logan, I had no idea that trampoline was going to be at the Olympic Games in Sydney. So I remember listening to the announcement that Sydney got the games from Monaco on my mate's floor, that we were just about to jump in a bus to go to Nationals in Adelaide. So I think we were driving 20 plus hours in a bus, all of us together, to go to Nationals. And I sat bolt upright going, Sydney got the games, this is amazing. Didn't even know trampoline was going to be a part of it, but I knew I wanted to go, and I knew I wanted to be a part of it somehow. But the fact that all the cards laid out the way they did, because I was literally going from the backyard all the way through to the Olympic Games. It just so happens to be in our own backyard.
Oh, how good a story is that? What happened next? Well, stick around. We'll find out when we open the vaults with Ji, the trampoline guy. You're listening to Stick at Gymnastics Queensland's brand new radio show.
From the vault with Jumping Ji.
Yes, we are cracking open the vault. We led into it just moments ago about how the boy from Logan got into becoming an Olympic silver medalist in trampolining at Sydney. So the announcement's on, Sydney's happening, you're on the bus to the Nationals, you find out what you do could be or is in the Olympics.
Well, in 1993, we had no idea. So I think it was in 1996, trampoline got recognised as an Olympic sport. So that kind of has to happen first.
Yep.
And then in 1998, the powers that be from the Olympic movement and the Federation of International Gymnastics and what was then the Federation of International Trampoline all put their heads together and went, this trampoline gig, it's pretty spectacular. Let's give it a debut in Sydney. So at that time, in 1996, I won the World Championships in double mini trampoline in DMT.
Yep.
In 1998, set a world record, was the first human to ever do 6 somersaults in 2 bounces in front of a big crowd. So there's a bit of vision on there. If you go to my own Instagram, you can check out some of those. You can actually check out 1993, some awful vision of a pimply scared, hair high, crazy kid doing some pretty amazing moves. And the commentator at the time goes, great form, great height. And all my comments are about my hair, not actually about the moves that I'm pulling. But then in 1998, it actually got accepted into the game. So that was pretty special. And that's when Gymnastics Australia came on board, and they actually hired a Russian coach to come out and to coach the 5 athletes that were nominated in the training squad. He came out to Australia, and there was 5 of us, 3 of us in Melbourne, 1 in Gosford and 1 up here in Brisbane. And I figured that because he was in Melbourne, I figured I'm only going to get to see him once every 5 weeks. So that's not going to be enough for me. So I actually jumped in my car, moved to my mate's garage, slept on a futon on the floor, on the cold concrete floor for a couple of weeks before I found somewhere. I reckon I survived for the next 2 years on about $100 a week. Wow. So I worked 1 day a week at a Mingara Sports Club, just at the pool there, just checking people in, just because that's all I could afford to do energetically wise, because I went from training 3 times a week to training 10 times a week. Now, for a 20-plus-year-old to do that is pretty nuts. I didn't do it from a young age. I changed because I wanted to go to the games. And we were training for gold. We weren't training for 2nd or 3rd or just to participate. We were going to take out top place. And because I'd already been world champion and world record holder, I was ranked 13th in the world in 1998 in trampoline. So it wasn't that much of a stretch to go that much further. But of course, that's easy to say, right? To go through the hard yards is pretty tough. And me and my coach had some stand-up arguments, only because I wanted to be as good as what he was telling me I could be. But I wasn't, so I was very, very frustrated for a very long time. And even he didn't speak to me for a whole week because I wasn't doing the right thing. And he goes, don't come back to me, don't talk to me, don't come in. But I did. I came every day. I came to training. I was there before he got there, and I left after he left. And after a week, he goes, I respect you. You can come back. So that happened, and we really took off. Our relationship really took off from that moment, all the way through to the games, all the way through to that silver medal, and that pure joy and elation that's on my face and from my coach at that time is because coaches sacrifice too, right? All the admin stuff. Everybody else is competitors on that journey with you. It's not just about that one moment. It's about everybody that's given up their time, their money, made those sacrifices for you for that moment. So the elation that was in that moment. And guess what? I was still only in 4th place. There was still the current world champion, 1996 world champion, and the current World Cup champion to come after me after that. So if they had done what they could do, I could have been in 4th. But I was still going to respond that way because that was a moment in time. To jump in front of 14,500 screaming Australians, 95% of them had no idea what trampoline was, and 95% of them had no idea who I was. But it was a moment because my name was in the gold medal position. And then each athlete that came after me, their score came underneath me. So I was in the gold medal position until the last athlete. But of course, he's Mr. Champion, he's Mr. Olympia, he's Mr. Trampoline. He's 5-time reigning world champion, and he nailed his routine. It's kind of like being beaten by Ian Thorpe or Kathy at that time. He's the actual legend of the sport, and I still think to this day his performance was the best performance I've ever seen anybody do in a trampoline world. So to come second to that man, I'll take it every day of the week.
Joe, I reckon there's two sports that anyone can assimilate to, and that's motorsport because we can all drive, and gymnastics in a sense. We've all tried a somersault. We've all jumped on a trampoline. But then to see it at the elite level, like motorsport, you're going, oh, these guys are good.
Yeah, 100%.
So unlike a collision sport, be it football or contact or even judo, karate, not everyone's boxing.
Right.
Not everyone's stepping into a ring, landing a punch, making a tackle. So not everyone can actually appreciate what goes into being a gymnast or even jumping on a trampoline at the level.
I've made that comparison at corporate events. I asked the team or the people to put their hand up if they've ever run around a 400-metre track. Yeah. And a couple of people put their hand up. Has anybody swum up and down a 50-metre pool as fast as you can? And not everybody. Has everybody generally fallen off a trampoline in the backyard?
Yes.
And everybody puts their hand up, whether they've done it as a child in the backyard themselves or they've had a couple of wines putting their kids' trampoline, the Christmas present together. They've fallen off. Everybody has a trampoline story, so that association is really there because you can put yourself in that athlete's shoes and to watch us jump 10 metres high. So what the divers do off the top platform, we jump that high, but we do 10 in a row. So it's not just the one and reset. Yeah. We actually do what they're doing, the same amount of somersaults, the same amount of twist, the same positioning, but we rebound and go again. And they're
going with gravity.
Yes,
we're
trying to go against it. So trampoline, it's spectacular to watch, and everybody that gets there and gets really close to a trampolinist, seeing how high they jump, or they walk into our training venue and they see how high it is, and we go, "Oh, we've got to have the trampoline in the floor because the roof's not high enough." Everybody goes, "Are you kidding? You jump that high? That's how high we jump. That's what we do."
You know what? I was going to ask you about going on Roy and HG and getting there, but I think because time is about to beat us. Jeez, it goes quick, and I love these stories. We are going to open the vault. Let's save that. Save that. Let's save that for next week. When I will also ask you about your most prized. Well, I'm going to say prized souvenir. I'm tipping that's the silver medal, but I mean, not everyone's walking away from the Olympics with a medal, but you can walk away from the Olympics with something, well, our souvenirs.
Let's say memories.
Memories, yes. There we go.
So memories and experiences.
Yes, we'll dive into the Athletes Village, which will be a nice little tie-in too, because hopefully by that stage we will be having a conversation with someone in power, someone from the government, to actually talk about where gymnastics and a new facility for 32 and training before that, having test events, where that lands and where that is on their agenda.
100%. We'll be looking for answers, really.
If you have questions, remember, head to GymQLD on Instagram. Stick it, Gymnastics Queensland's brand new radio show. Thank you for being part of history. Thank you for being part of our first segment. Ben Davis, Ji Wallace, until we talk to you next time. Good luck with hunting.